Hey, Laurel.
Sorry, I had myself muted. Can you hear me?
Wait, what's with the music?
That's the wait bot
Oh,
because the show
okay.
hasn't started yet.
So
Yeah.
I'm okay just sitting here on my phone. Do I need my laptop or do I just have my phone?
Your phone is fine.
Okay, Laurel. That's my sister. She's waving
Hey,
me up.
Merle. I'm gonna
Okay,
turn wait bot
Merle.
off because he's killing me. Sometimes he's kind of loud. Although I
Okay, it's
love.
still 6 minutes, so I'm going to
Oh
take my
yeah, we
shoe.
have time.
Okay, because I just walked in the door.
Okay. Actually, I wonder if I can turn my. Oh, if you're listening to the simulcast on YouTube, the show will be starting here in about 7 minutes. Actually, about 5 minutes now. We'll be on the stage. We do have a few ladies from the village who had some prior engagements, so they won't be able to join us tonight, but we will nonetheless have a fantastic conversation. And I'm going to bring Waitbot back up. Hey, Jenny.
Hey there.
How are you? I'm making you a producer.
Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Not too bad. How about you?
Good.
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 Excited to meet all your guests tonight.
Yeah. We've got a few that have some prior obligations, but we'll have a few on. I
Cool.
just sent a text to everybody to say, hey, I'm on. Are you coming? It says I have 2 alerts, but I don't see them. Okay. I've got to remind myself not to do this on my phone and on. Oh, there's Lanier. Okay, Lanier, invite to speak. Lanier, if you can hear me, you should have an invite to come to the stage. What is interesting is I'm so as soon as we get done, I think Jenny, if you go under that's so weird because I'm trying to see all of the audience members. There we go. View participants. Okay, perfect. All right. Oops. I think we want to, as we have people come on, and hopefully Lanier, let me text Lanier and make sure she got the invite.
Why is Lanier not in the speaking part?
I don't know. I sent her an invite. Let me invite her again. Invite to speak. Okay, hopefully she'll get that. There she is. Hey, Lanier.
Hi. I didn't get it in my invite.
That's so weird. Okay.
I'm here.
Great. I'm so glad. And then we'll see. I know that Cheryl was probably going to be traveling, and we know Dorothy had a family emergency. So, and Joy is actually celebrating with the ladies of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated tonight. Let me turn. I'm going to turn on my video. Open my camera. Turn on video. As soon as it comes up, there I am. Turn on video. All right. Let me move it out of the way so I can see everybody. All right, so we're going to get started here in a couple of minutes. And then if I see Cheryl, Jenny, if you see Cheryl Vienna come through, definitely want to have her. She's one of the speakers. She's the only other one I think that may be able to come because Joy had another engagement. And I'm not sure what's going on with Veronique. Oh, okay, so Cheryl is flying, so she's not coming. So that means, since there are just 3 of us, I'm going to text Veronique really quickly. I don't even know what I'm doing. We might actually, if you want to, might actually be able to have you guys on camera. But since I didn't tell you ahead of time, I won't force you to do that because you might not be what you feel is camera ready. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay if you say no.
I keep forgetting to mute myself. I'm good. You can do whatever you need to do.
Okay, cool. Lanier, are you camera ready?
I mean, I'm fine. Whatever.
So y'all are so hilarious. Okay, so it is 7 o'clock. And if we see Veronique come through, we will get her in. Welcome to the Rutledge Perspective Live Conversations for this Thursday, St. Patrick's Day. I did have my green on earlier today, y'all, so I don't have it on today because I needed to change my shirt. So I did have my St. Patty's Day stuff on earlier today, mainly because we are also having our South Central, the sensational South Central regional conference of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated here in Houston. So I'm hanging out with my mom, my legacy in Houston with Alpha Kappa Alpha. So one of my guests, and I encourage all of you, the podcast this week that dropped on Wednesday, yesterday, you will get to see these lovely women. And I'm going to read you the bios of the 2 that are on the stage tonight. You will get to see you can go see them and see that conversation if you go to my website, laurelrutledge.com/podcast, and you will see the one Sister Circle for this week, and you'll be able to read their full bios and see these other amazing women, one of whom was just doing a shoot and an audition, and you can see her in the Floor and Decor commercials that are happening right now. So I'm going to introduce these women, but the whole idea tonight is this is about the Sister Circle. And the entire month of Women's History Month, I've been highlighting women that are in my village. And this is really important to me because I think everyone needs a village. I'm really adamant that you have to have people around you that can support you. And so we're going to spend the first few minutes just having a conversation. Please feel free to join in, ask questions. This is like my 3rd show. So if I miss you, charge it to my inexperience and not to my heart. Okay. So that's why I've got Jenny too. So she is watching. And so if you have a question to ask or a comment to make, please feel free to jump on stage. So Kathy, I am actually going to invite you to video since we only have 2 people. I'm going to invite you to video. So you should get one. And Lanier, I'm going to invite you to video. Tell me what I need to change. And so both of you guys should show up and we should be able to see. There's Kathy. Hey, Kathy. And then hopefully Lanier will be able to come on. And so I'm going to do a quick introduction. There she is. Woohoo! Okay. So I'm going to do a quick introduction of these women. And Kathy Clack, Lady Catherine, as people call her, or Lady C. She was born in Germany to an Army officer and an elementary school teacher. And she joined Rice University in 1981 after receiving her Bachelor of Arts from St. Edward's in Austin. And she began her career at Rice as the Assistant Director of Admissions, but she has been there. Shall I say the number, Kathy?
You can go ahead and do
it. A long time. She's been there a long time. In 93, she earned her Master's of Science from the University of Houston Clear Lake. And she currently serves, now listen to this, y'all. We're talking about Rice University, right? The Harvard of the South. She currently serves as the Associate Dean of Undergraduates with supervisory responsibility for the offices of Student Success Initiatives and First-Year Programs, Student Publications, and University Bands, as well as serving as the Director of Multicultural Affairs. And what she didn't put on here, she also teaches class. Okay. So she also works tirelessly to improve the university's efforts at diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it's which is really big because I met Kathy at Rice. It's really big. They've come a long way.
Yeah.
So, Lanier. Lanier Robertson. She is a human resources executive and a dear friend of mine. She's got 20 years plus of people leadership in the chemicals industry. And she joined SABIC in 2019 as the human resources leader for the Americas region. And her responsibilities now have been expanded to include the global leadership of SABIC for future of work and new norm. She is an accomplished human resources person. And one of her biggest accomplishments is that she survived 2 winters in Pittsburgh as this native Texan. And I get that. She is regarded as a trusted advisor, business partner, coach, and mentor to emerging HR professionals and executives across the globe. And as a true Texan, she was born and raised. Lanier holds a BBA with honors from Lamar University in Beaumont. And the people function is her career passion. She is especially zealous about all things DIE and B. So diversity, inclusion, equity, and belonging, for those of you who are not familiar with that terminology. I just got a text. Let me make sure that my other guest, okay. So she should be joining soon, Jenny. So we may see Veronique coming. This is live, y'all, live podcasting. So the other people that you will be able to see on the podcast are Dorothy Jones. She had a family emergency and she is currently the head of marketing for Sally, which is awesome and has an amazing resume. So definitely go check her out. And then Joyce Sewing, she is my new sorority sister. She is actually just received her first Pulitzer Prize nomination. She is a columnist for the Houston Chronicle, has been there forever, and she's amazing, a lifestyle writer. And then Veronique is coming. She was also born in Germany and was actually a professional dancer. And so she danced for the Oilers and the Derrick Dolls. And now, after 11 years in commercial real estate, she's actually opening her own real estate firm. And as she says, you dream it, she brings it. So you'll get to meet her shortly. She said she was running in the house from a meeting, so she'll be on shortly. And then Cheryl, I told you about her. Look for her in your Floor and Decor commercials. So ladies, here's where I want to start. When we talk about these conversations around Women's History Month and all of this piece of my village was bringing forward the amazing women that I have the honor and the blessing to know and to have lift me up and support me and hopefully do the same for them. And one of the things that we talked about was how we came together. And so in the wake of the murder of George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor and we all got to this place where, we just needed this safe space. And you guys have seen my village. My village is fairly diverse. And there are times when you also need a group of women who have had that very same shared experience. And so Kathy and I were talking at one point and she's like, I need some Black women. Can we just get some Black women together? And that's how Chat and Chill, the sister circle, was developed. And so when you think about the power, right, of having this place to just be, to just show up, that it's really safe, that you don't have to explain the experience to anybody. Kathy, maybe since you really were the impetus for all of this for us, talk about what it really meant and what was that driving need for that? Because I don't think people always understand, why do you just need Black people? It's deep.
It's one of those that for the longest time, I didn't know what it was that I was missing. You know how you just know that you need a little something extra, but you just don't know what it is. And I think it was in realizing that I spent a whole lot of my time explaining why I felt certain ways or explaining why I was reacting to things in certain ways or doing a lot of sort of explaining when I realized, you know what, you are always on. You need a place where you can just be and not have to explain your actions, not have to explain your thoughts, not have to explain very carefully why something that happened was actually racist. I mean, just a place where you could just be. And so for me, my immediate instinct was, I know what I'm craving inside and that I'm not having is this circle of women around me, because we didn't have fraternities and sororities at my undergraduate institution. So, I don't have that circle of Black women around me. Yes, I've got women around me, but do I have these women who can see who I am at my very core and still be like, yeah, we get you. We understand what you're going through. So it just was this weird confluence of needs that came together. And I just, if nothing else, I'm just really, really happy that you took it and said, I know what you need. I can do this for you. And that's I mean, we all need somebody who can help us do that, because I can say, I need this and not have the slightest idea how to go about putting it together. So
Yeah.
you were my savior in that situation.
Well, it's hard sometimes for people to even say this is what I need, right? Because then you get all of this, well, it's reverse racism or reverse discrimination and all that madness, right? And so, in Lanier, I think about you in particular because, again, I met Kathy at Rice, and it was a really traumatic time for me. And I wouldn't have made it through that without her. And then I think about my time at Covestro, and I would not have made it through that without you. And so all of that code switching that we have to do, and the legacy podcast that's out this week is about code switching. And it's not just managing the way you talk and managing how you show up and all that kind of things. That's like, you might today, but you don't normally show up, in your ripped jeans or your cut off shorts at the theater, right? It's not that. It's not appropriateness. It is truly having to change who you are to be able to be accepted. And so, Lanier, when I think about when I said I've got to have Lanier in this circle, talk a little bit about, for you, that whole survival mechanism of that corporate madness, especially around being able to show up completely as who you are.
Right. Yeah. It's tiring, right? It's almost like, when you're, when you talk to people like expats, right? So in the corporate world, we work with expats a lot, and you want the assignment, you want the experience, you're not backing down, you want to grow. And I'm 6 of 7 in birth order, and I believe birth order matters. And when you're 6, you don't give up. You're gonna be heard, right? That's your norm. So that's how I feel about corporate America. I ain't going nowhere. I'm gonna be heard.
Right.
I'm 6. You're gonna, it's like the expats tell you. At the end of the day, though, you're switching languages so much in your head, you're exhausted. And that's where the sister circle, that's what it meant to me, that I get to speak in my own language when I'm tired and not be judged, and not that I could just be me. And when you work in corporate America, and especially in the sciences, right? When you work in chemicals, where you work with engineers and science, and they say, we want evidence and we want facts and show us the numbers. And especially, we work in HR, and people are easy, and you can't always describe things in numbers, or you don't always have a quick analysis, or except when it comes to things like how women are impacted, or how we're not represented in leadership and the C-suite, and the numbers don't lie.
Right.
We don't want to talk about those numbers, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think what people don't understand is that idea of that loneliness that happens. Kathy, you were there at Rice, right? And it was what, 1% of us. And I remember coming to you the night after a party, and there were 4 of us walking back to Brown, and we got stopped by the campus police asking us why we were on campus. I will never forget that. And Kathy was like calling the police and was like, "What are you doing to my students?" I mean, it was fabulous. And then with Lanier, I remember there were times when it was like, when I left, I was one of only 2 Black women in a global company of 17,000. Hear me now, 17,000. And you're going to hear a little bit more about that next week when I talk to the corporate posse. But Lanier, and when I left, Lanier, I was so glad to have Lanier, because I was like, here's my successor. I'm out, right? She's here. She's ready. But that whole idea, Lanier, of that not having to be anything other than what you are, because you had to do so much cajoling and conflict management and being in the middle of all that madness. How, and I'm going to go back to you first, and then I want to talk to Kathy kind of about this in a different way. How do you think about that conflict and not taking it home, right? Being able to have a place that's just peace.
Yeah, it's exhausting, right? By the end of the day, and separating and making sure that you separate what you do from who you are. And, having those sanity checks, that place where you can go and say, okay, I'm not crazy. First of all, this really did happen, and it's not about me. It's about them. And we're gonna, and I always had that saying, right? We don't act like they act, we act like we act, and we're gonna rise above this. And then you just live to fight another day. And every day it was, because we're both brown girls, we're not the same girls.
Say that again.
Because we're both brown girls, we're not the same girls, and we have the utmost respect for each other, right? I begged you not to go. I said, please just sit in the chair. I'll do the job. I'll do your job, my job. Please don't go. And because I knew it was my life was about to change, and it did. But I had to. That was the very first thing, because we're both brown girls. We're not the same girls, and that was very, very difficult, because I walk in a room and they see me, but Laurel this, or Laurel said, or Laurel did, but where's my badge? I'm not Laurel.
Yes. And what's interesting about that is people expect, so not only do people look at us and think we're all going to act the same and be the same and respond the same, but that we're going to be okay with like being the same person, right? That we all look alike.
Right.
That it's okay to just assume that, and that it's okay to talk about it that way, that you should be the same person. And Kathy, I remember, when we were talking about many of the things that we talked about, you, through all the things you have done at Rice, that was, I think, one of the hardest things for me to also think through is we are not all the same thing. Because I remember coming to you and there was a class and I had a B going into the class, and I remember failing the class. And I was like, Kathy, I'm confused. I'm confused. And I remember you intervening for me with my professor, and his response was, you need to tell these people to come talk to us before they start failing. These people, y'all, this is a true story, right? Because we tell the truth on the Rutledge Perspective. These people. And I remember going to you and I'm like, I don't even know what to say to that. And so when you look at that and you look at that categorization, y'all, it's been a long day. How do you help your students work through that sameness or oneness?
And you do have to take every case sort of individually, but part of what I like to do, there's Veronique, by the way, is draw sort of my own experiences and my own background and say, you're not the only one that goes to these kinds of things. They're very different, but the way that they are looking at us is not with that difference in place. And so you literally have to walk students through, this is why this happens. This is why it's going to continue to happen. So when students are in that place where they feel like, yeah, I don't need to be around other people like me, or, I'm just going to assimilate and blend. And I go, at some point in your life, work is going to really tell you that you can't assimilate and that you can't blend in to the degree that you think you do.
Yes.
And so they have to learn that the hard way. And sadly, there are always going to be people who go through and they just don't get it. They're like, nah, you can't tell me, blah, blah, blah. My daddy said that. And I'm like, you're on your own, you got this. But you need to have someone who's willing to, number one, listen, and then instantly understand, and then say, okay, how do we address this? And that means that for every case, sometimes it's you go to that professor and you get in their face. Sometimes they don't want to do that. I'm like, what can I do to make you feel better? What can I do to help you in this situation? How can I help you stand up for yourself next time? And that's an ongoing teaching process and an ongoing learning process. It's just very individualized, but it's across the board. We can talk about Rice, but I'm like, any predominantly white institution, you're going to find this. And these kids need to learn to navigate there where it's safe and they have people who can help them, as opposed to in the real world when people are like, you're corporate America now. You're supposed to know how to deal with this stuff. I'm trying to get them to learn when they're in college.
Yes. Well, and that gets to the whole idea of the importance. I was just having this conversation last night on my masterclass, the importance of your village, y'all. And I use that word village intentionally for those of you who are listening to the show. I use that intentionally because of the old African proverb, right? It takes a village. I use village intentionally because a village lifts you up. A village tells you the truth, right? Some people use tribe. If that works for you, great. Village works for me because you also move people in and out of your village, right? Some people are on the block. Some people you move across the street. And some people you just kick out and say, it's time for you to go, to the other county, right? Reason, season, lifetime.
Yeah.
But the key to one of the things that Kathy said, when you have that village, whether you are in a university, whether you're going to your first job, whether you're in an organization, if you're in anything where you are one of a few, it is important, one, that you really get clear on who you are. You got to get clear on who you are and what's important to you. And then find your sponsors, find your mentors. And a mentor is not your best friend. A mentor is somebody who's going to tell you the truth. A sponsor is someone who's going to bring up your name in a room where you aren't,
Yeah.
who has influence, who has power, who can make decisions. That's a sponsor. So you want to find sponsors too. So as you're navigating, you want to make sure that you have people and a diverse group of mentors and sponsors too, because you need people who know how the system works.
Yeah.
Then you can make a definitive decision as to whether or not you want to play the rules, right?
Yeah.
Whether or not you want to be a part of that, but you got to find a way to learn it in order to be able to deal with it, right? So, Lanier, that for me, when you and I talked a lot about the HR stuff that we were doing, and again, we work really, really well together, but we are very different people. We think very different. Well, actually, we think a lot alike. We just execute differently,
Right.
which is why we were such a powerful team. And I am very clear. I was the right person to take this organization through a spin-off, get the team built up, and then get the hell up out of there. And Lanier was the right person to take it from that into sustainability. I just didn't have it in me. I didn't have it in me to do that anymore. Neither the desire nor the energy, right? I just didn't have it. So when you think about these folks, right, people who are listening in the audience who may be trying to figure out transition or trying to figure out their place or how to just make it work, what are some of the things that you have been telling people as you navigated all of that? Because you were with Bayer/Covestro for a long time. Saw a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So I would say the first thing I said was, so it's not for the weak at heart, right? If you take things very personally, it's not for you, right? And like you said, these relationships, they have to be open, they have to be honest. You're not you can't tiptoe around feelings and things like that. You and I work very well together. We were very different, and we had and still have a very healthy mutual respect for one another, and we call each other and still advise, counsel very openly, very honestly, not what you want to hear, what you need to hear. And that's how you approach, any of these transitional, especially the transitional
Exactly.
these type of whether it's business transformations or cultural transformations or even transitions. And last but not least, you don't have to say or act upon, and in fact you shouldn't, as part of your strategy, everything you see. It's best to let people think. You don't.
Pick your battle.
Right.
Sometimes it's best to say nothing and just do.
That part.
What is it? You don't have to show up to every fight you're invited to. Is that what the saying is?
Right. And why would you wrestle a pig and get muddy? That's just not my style. And these things just have a way of working themselves out, and just step back and be strategic. And the other thing that Laurel and I used to always say is, if you're a chess player and somebody's playing checkers, let them. I'm on the chess game. And so these things often, it's tempting. It is very tempting to kind of get down into the little petty games or the little things that you see, and even when they impact your teams. But then you have to think about, it's about the team. It's about the greater good. It's about the what's the goal? What's the objective? It's not about you. And I always try to keep that in front of me. And it was very important to me because people saw us as the two brown girls, and I felt like under no other circumstance would that happen. And the company that I came from before, and I don't think these two people, we're still very close to, I don't think that they would have a problem with me using their names. I'd hired two business partners in the role I had before I came back to Covestro. One was named Uniqua, one was named Quiba. They worked in two different states, not even the same location. And people would mix their names up. It was a regional organization, and they would say Uniqua, Cuiba. Okay, they didn't look alike. They didn't have the same credentials. They didn't have the same client base, nothing, but they were somehow interchangeable. We couldn't tell them apart. So that was my first experience in corporate America with that. Again, they couldn't be, look, act. The only thing they held in common was their title, job title. Fast forward to you and I. Under what other circumstances would you have a successor come in a role and be held to that person's saying, well, you're the other brown girl? You would be treated that way, that you would, there would be this expectation, well, Laurel this or well, Laurel that. Or so to me, it was very important to do things that honored your legacy. And so that was a huge driver for me. And I think it was very successful. I can't hear you.
You're muted, Laurel. Still can't hear you. We
I
lost
have
her.
a question while Laurel's working on her microphone situation there. I was wondering, like, how do you find these people who are going to be in your village? Like, how does that is it a conversation? Is it just something that happens? If somebody is looking for people to be in their circle, to be in their village, how do you make that happen?
You know, it was interesting because I didn't know how to make that happen. I knew what I needed, but didn't know how to do it because then I'd be walking around going, I don't know you, but you look like a Black woman. Perhaps, that doesn't work. And it wasn't like I was having those connections with women at work. I needed people who were not in my work environment as well. So if you know someone who has a lot of connections and does like Laurel, where she networks and she knows and she pays attention to the people she's meeting, it was great to see somebody. Oh, you're going to like her. We need to invite that person. Oh, we need to invite. And so you have that resource. But if you don't have that resource, the first thing you have to do is find someone who does. But make sure it's find someone who you want to have as a part of your village, because you don't want someone who's just going to tell you all the good stuff. You don't want someone who's going to agree with everything. You want someone who's going to say, girl, you got that wrong. Let me tell you how you need to fix this. You need to have that person in your village as well. But for me, it was a matter of finding someone who had those networking connections. I'm an introvert. I don't have those kind of connections, but Laurel did. So it just seemed like a natural thing to go, can you help me with this? And what I did know is that she would be able to pull together this brilliant collection of women and we'd all just sort of make it work.
Yeah, it's like this chemistry. She's still muted, still can't hear you. But I would say Laurel is an introvert too, but she did this analysis and found this chemistry because we're all very different, right? We have these very different walks of life. Because again, even though, Laurel and I both had the same career choice, we came by them very different ways and very different personality and background, right? I'm an extrovert, she's an introvert, but somehow, she just knew, and we have this phenomenal chemistry, this group. So Laurel, are you back?
I hope so. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I switched to my phone. I don't know what happened on my desktop. So, new platform and inexperience, right? With Fireside. Yeah, and I want to bring Veronique up too. I think she's unmuted. Are you unmuted?
I am.
Yay! And are you like not video ready? Is that why I'm not seeing your face?
Girl, I don't know if anybody wants to see this today, but I'll put myself up there. But I promise you, I came home from lunch and washed my hair. I look a mess, but I will be happy to do whatever
I just got
serves
off the
you.
airplane, so you can, pull yourself up.
I'm happy to do whatever you need.
I'm St. Patrick's Day t-shirt. Come on in.
Okay.
Right?
Go ahead and invite me. Let's do this.
Here you go. I just invited you to video.
Okay. Here I am.
Oh, please. Girl,
I
please.
told you. All natural. I'm
No,
almost
you look
going to take a profile picture now because they're going to be like, who's that?
So we were talking about this whole idea of showing up and how people just they try you, right? And the conflict and being, and you are absolutely the only where you are. And so that ability to really not show up to every fight they invite you to. I want you to talk a little bit about that, because you get invited to a lot of fights and you are masterful at deciding which ones to show up for.
You know, repeat your question for me, Laurel, so I can make sure
So
I understand.
how do you manage not showing up to every fight you're invited to?
You know, that's a fantastic question. And the best answer that I have in this moment, it'll be 11 years in April that I've been there. I feel like I have to be, and hopefully Fireside will allow me to be as transparent as possible.
Yes.
That I feel like I have to be the spokesperson for every brown person on the planet. Because of that extra weight, it helps me hold my tongue. Because I also know that whatever I do or say will ultimately potentially make them see other brown people in a poor light or a good light. I feel like I have more, for lack of a better word, power than I probably should, because at the end of the day, the best, well, not the best example, but one example, there's a gentleman, because, you know, we went through a very difficult climate racially this past year. And one of the gentlemen in my office, he is in his late 60s. And he said to me, I'm sorry, my camera might have gone away, but he said to me in his late 50s, late 60s, almost 70, he said, Vernie, can we go out and have lunch? I'd love to talk to you about if, is, is, is it still a thing? Like right now, is there still, people that don't like other races, or, and I said, well, the fact that you have to ask, I can emphatically tell you, yes, it is. And racism is still very much alive. And I said, I'm happy to go to lunch with you and have an open dialogue. If we can just be clear that I'm not trying to change your mind, you're not trying to change mine. We can just respect one another's opinions. And if you'd like to do that, it would be unfair and remiss of me to go alone as a Black woman. I need to bring a Black man to the lunch, because I just don't think I am capable of speaking. People will get in an elevator with me. Okay. And so, but they might not with my brother. My brother is much warmer complexion than I. And I don't want to be the spokesperson for every brown person, when the reality is I can get away with a little bit more and be looked at a little bit differently than my brother is. And so, and I've told everyone in my office now, in the beginning, I was not as open and transparent. I just kind of just kept my mouth shut, my head down. Now I'm really big about if it's something, because I feel like if you'll speak unkindly about other races, you'll speak unkindly about this one.
Yes.
Yes.
I feel like silence can be acceptance. So the way I choose to show up if there is a battle is not approach it as a battle, and approach it as being informative and as graceful with my words as I can, because it's a teaching moment. Even though there are times I have went to my car and cried, because, and then I just decided sometimes you can't hold people responsible for what they don't know, but I do hold you responsible for your lack of willingness to find out.
But it's also so easy for them to find out. Why do they constantly have to rely on, you know, like, I'm going to ask Veronique so she can explain it to me. I'm like, can you not Google some of this stuff and figure out what you need to know?
Yeah, let's.
Why am I constantly teaching people stuff that I feel like they should already need to know is what I'm asking.
I feel like if you don't want to, if you don't know, it's because you elect not to know at this juncture in the world. Seriously. There's no excuse.
It's intentional. It's
but
intentional.
It is hard. It is hard. But I will say that because of everything that happened last year with George Floyd and so many others, sadly, it did allow me to create and open a space of dialogue with everyone. But I had to approach it knowing I'm not going to change people's behaviors that have been this way for 50 years. I'm not going to change the way they think, but I do want to let them know. They actually interviewed a brown man. Laurel knows this, a few weeks ago on a Wednesday. I saw it on their calendar and I saw the gentleman and he works with a big firm. I intentionally took lunch that day because took vacation that day because I knew that they would bring him to the office and show him the other one.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I was like, so I'm not working today.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
working
It's insane. It's insane. Well, one of the things that we got together with the chat and chill is we wanted to be able to show up for each other, to be able to say, okay, here are the things we're celebrating, and here's the things where we really need some support, which was really important for all of us to be able to do that. And so if you think about our chat and chill, what that support thing, the support piece, because the celebrations are really important, but that support piece that shows up different kind of as in chat and chill than it does in others. How does that feel different than just your normal kind of support? Kathy, I'll start with you.
Well, I think it feels authentic. I think that's the word I want to use. It's authentic. It's not like, I don't ever feel like I am listening to you guys tell me what I want to hear or what you feel like I need to hear to make me feel better. I always feel like I get just the honest truth.
Yeah.
And I think I think we all need a lot more of that, because it's become so easy for us to just be in people's faces and say what they want to hear. And since we code switch on the regular, it's, we naturally just sort of do that anyways. Like, well, let me be this for you and let me be that for you. But in this space, it's just real. It's legit. And when people want to tell you that you screwed the pooch, they'll tell you screwed the pooch. But what's nice about it is that those same individuals are going to say, now here's some ideas about how you can get yourself out of this mess as well. And so it's just authentic. And that's what I appreciate, is that it's just real. Yeah. And when you feel bad and you feel like crying, people let you get it out, and and there's support in that. And so yeah.
No, you're good. You're good. I mean, because that's the kind of stuff that we want, that support, that celebration, that place to just laugh, have good food, some adult beverages, some great banana pudding. I mean, all of that stuff is important. I see some people, so we're at about 7:30. So I also want to give people a chance to ask questions. And I would love to I see Amy, I see Woody. I think we had a few people drop off. I would love to hear you guys, how you navigate, who's in your village, what kind of things do you do to be able to show up, your authentic self, for, showing up to be you, and how do you create that village around you? Amy, I just sent you an invite to speak if you'd like to. And Woody, I'll send you one too. Oh no, Lanier, I pushed the wrong one. Oh, Woody just left. I think there he is. Because I was going to give him an opportunity invite to speak. Okay. So, I really would like to know how, other people do this. Because as Kathy said, it was just kind of like, we just all needed a space to just be safe. We just needed a space to be safe. And so knowing how we did that, I mean, there were people I knew and I just knew it would kind of work. But I would love to know, and especially because Woody, I think, is a guy, I'd love to hear how guys do that. Because during Women's History Month, is all about women, right? Because it's Women's History Month. And this is how we do it. But how do guys, I'd love to know how guys put that together. So feel free, Woody, if you'd like to say something. If not, I'm no pressure. So as we think about it, and I'm not seeing it come up. So, and Jenny, I'll let you, because I can't see under the video. So if somebody else comes up, let me know. So how would you guys, if you think about the other folks in your village, how does that work for y'all? Oh, wait, I see something. Oh, there you go. Leela. Oh, I should invite you to speak, Leela, too. I'm going to have you come up and ask your question. Hang on. Leela. Oh, where'd she go? There she is. Okay, Leela, I'm getting ready to invite you to speak. All right. There you are. You should have the invite.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Hey, Leela.
Well, first of all, it's wonderful to see all you ladies, and great to be here on Fireside. Fire chat or Fireside?
Fireside.
Chatting on Fireside. So I'm just wondering about boundaries. Boundaries are something that I've been thinking about lately, because, we're so exposed on social media. I mean, Laurel, you're all over the place now. It's
Yes.
great to see that. And just
under duress.
Right. When you have to do a business or put yourself out there, how do you draw boundaries? I mean, even with friends, you want to be letting your guard down. You want to be open and share the most vulnerable parts. I mean, even with your partners and your relatives, how do you think about boundaries when you think about circles or friendships or relationships? I'd just love to hear your thoughts on that.
That's a great question. V, boundaries?
When it comes to relationships and friendships, um, I don't know if I'm the perfect person for this because I don't tend to have them as often as I should. But I've always lived by kind of a philosophy for myself. I'd rather have 4 quarters than 100 pennies. So my circle is fairly small. So if anything, I should be asking those that have decided to befriend me what their boundaries are because I probably push them. But one thing that I try to do is be a listening friend and an available friend. And it's hard I will say, I'll use you, Laurel, as an example, because I think I've relied on you for emotional support and business support and everything so much that I think that I have to impose a boundary on myself in terms of you because you never have with me. And I know that you're busy. I see, like Leila said, you're all over the place, and I see that you have your own things going. So I try to do my best to not always call you with every thought that crosses my mind or every concern or every battle that I'm having, and try to be like, I need to get a bracelet that says, what would Laurel do?
I love that.
Just being sure that what you are expecting in terms of boundaries, what you want from others, that you're willing to give the same. So I will say that.
Yeah, I don't really have a lot of boundaries, I feel like, in terms of my relationships, and I don't enter into anything thinking about the boundaries. But I know that because we are always very honest with each other, that if someone says, yeah, I don't want to go there, or this is too difficult, it wouldn't become an issue. And that even when we're talking about those things that are really bothering us or really just eating away at us, people don't ask questions out of a sense of, let me see how much more dirt I can, how much more gossip I get. It's really about, I want to understand what's going on so we can figure out how to get you to that next step. So for me, the question of boundaries, just if for some reason it very rarely, I don't know that it's come into play at any point within this group yet where I feel like somebody had overstepped their boundary or I needed to put some sort of wall or boundary up. That's an individual thing for everybody, to be honest with you. Yeah.
And I think we talked about that in the podcast too, about the trust, right? Keeping it tight.
Yes, that's the thing. It's got to be a safe space. Amy, I just sent you another invite to speak. I don't see you on the stage yet, though, but I've got videos that may be in the way. So please, come on up. Would love to hear from you. And Woody too. Still would like to get a guy's perspective, but I'm not going to force you.
I would love that.
I want you to know I see you.
It is different.
Yes, exactly. I am going to respect your boundaries, Woody.
Yes.
And yours too, Amy. So that question of boundaries, I think is always difficult because if you're always a person who is always thinking about how you're going to serve, how you're going to do something for other people, it's very easy to get into the habit of serving.
Yes.
And so saying no feels like you're not being in service.
Yes.
And so that's one of the things. It was one of my very early podcasts that I talked about putting your mask on first, because sometimes you've just got to, if you think about that saying, when they say that to you on the plane, they're like, if the masks come down, be sure to put your mask on first before helping somebody else. It makes perfect sense, because if the oxygen is going away, if you don't put your mask on, you won't be able to help anybody else because you'll be dead. So you need to put your mask on first. You can help others. You can't serve from an empty cup. And so, for me, that idea of really making sure that I am serving from full, acknowledging my introversion and that I need those mornings. I get up early anyway. My brain wakes up early, but having that time that's just me time, very first thing before I have to engage, is really important because it really sets my mind right. Otherwise, I'm irritated and frustrated. And so I need that time in the morning to just be still, and then I'm good to go. I may still get frustrated during the day, but I at least can start out. I can start out on a good foot, at least trying. So yeah, we can try that. So ladies, if you think about building a chat and chill, so if we think about who's there and building that village, what would you recommend for people who are looking to create kind of this safe space and this place to just get together and celebrate wins and ask for support?
First, know yourself. Know yourself, who you are, what you're looking for, what you want to get out of it. If you do need to get out of it, I mean, what's the whole point of wanting to get together with this collective of women? Without that, you could just be spinning. And then also be honest with yourself about, is this really working? Is this feeding my soul? Is this restoring me? Is this uplifting me? Or is it making me, or do I leave every one of these meetings going, gosh, darn these women, blah, 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 blah. I mean, that's where your coming in. You have to go, yeah, you know what? This is not the best choice for me. So you have to know yourself, and you have to be honest all the way through the process, I think.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I think
I love that.
away from our meetings in the past, like our gatherings, I don't want to speak. I can only speak for myself right now. But you ladies can step in. That every time we've left, like there are times we've walked in the door and we've been exhausted from our jobs or from what we're battling with, and literally we end up eating and having beverages, like you said, and laughing and venting because of what you said, it being a safe space. And when we leave, we almost feel like we came in with 4 backpacks and we left them all and emptied them while we were there. And the only way you can do that is if you feel safe and willing to feel vulnerable, because our space, I've never once, never. And it is the best feeling to know that you can speak to like women, especially, you know what I mean? And there's no judgment whatsoever. It's only been grace and opening ears and great advice, because you never know where great advice can come from if you're willing to be vulnerable enough to share.
Yeah.
And it's actually thinking about the outcomes of those get-togethers. Sometimes it gets me there. I'm a homebody, so if I had to leave my house at all, I would be fine. The universe would be great. I would be a happy person.
Yeah.
So it's like once a month on a Sunday, and I'd be like, oh, it's that Sunday, and I got to take some food, and I'm always sort of fussing at myself as I go. And then within 10 minutes of being there, I go, this is where you needed to be. And so I always leave on this high. Every time I feel like I'm talking myself into it, even though I know that by the time I'm there 5 minutes, I'm gonna be like, oh my God, this is awesome. This is great. I miss you guys so much. So yeah.
Can we meet again? It's like,
Lanier, what about you? What would you suggest for people if they're trying to build their chat and chill village?
It was easy. It was fun. And you're right. Like, Sunday is for working women, it's prime time. You're thinking about organizing for the next week, and it's like, okay, how do I, and the minute you step in there, you're like, what was I thinking? I'm supposed to be here. It's like a recharge, almost instant, because it's easy. It's comfortable. It's fun. It's like that blanket, that jacket, that, there was nothing pretentious. It wasn't fine china and high heel shoes. And it was just, come on in here. And how did you make that? And what's in that, girl? And, from like a scene from Soul Food, but for women.
Yeah.
It was that, and I would say that even if you are a person, and I like the finer things in life too, but I also like to, get in just down to the very bare bones and the basics. And I would say start there, just keep it real, keep it simple, because that's where you need to be.
I love it, because you're right. I mean, because we can all put on the dog now. We can take it up 12 notches when we need to. We know how to show up and show out. But that's not the purpose of the chat and chill. And I see Stephanie in the audience. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for being here. She's one of the super producers, founders, creators, the creator's creator on Fireside. So thank you so much for coming to the show. I think it's really important as we started this chat and chill, for those of you who are looking to do something like this, you may not call yours chat and chill. We did that because we were really chatting and chilling and we needed it. That's why we called it that. Because we knew we were going to eat and we knew we were going to chat, and we normally do more chatting than eating. But I would say this to you. If you think about what Lanier said about it being simple, if you think about, Kathy, it's got to be a safe space. If you think about Veronique, but I always know that I'll leave unpacking a bunch of stuff. When you get ready to set your thing, just set it. Find the right people, right? Take your time to find the right women or men, whoever it's going to be. Ours happens to be all women. That's why we're doing it in Women's History Month. And find a time to do it and just show up. Just show up. Know that it's a space, because Sunday nights are really hard for me too, because I didn't sleep for 5 years on a Sunday night when I was in corporate. 5 years I didn't sleep on a Sunday night because I knew there was going to be all kinds of drama waiting for me on Monday morning, and I just wasn't having it. So and my brain just couldn't shut down. So find that space. Having that Sunday afternoon, when I first started saying, well, let's do it Sunday, I was like, I don't know Sunday, but it turned out to be the right thing because I could settle. Mm-hmm. I could settle, and you go into the week, with something amazing. So what is one final piece of advice that you would give to people?
In terms of
like finding those folks around you that you need, that can be your safe space.
I think sometimes they find you. You know what I mean? I think sometimes it's not a matter of like going through your phone and your contact list. I think you know who your people are. Mm-hmm. And if you give it too much thought, they may not be your people. So yes. I think you find each other and you attract what you emit, right? Mm-hmm. So and you were kind enough to place us all together. You're our common denominator, as you are in, I think, most of, if not all of your groups. And we lucked out, that when we all got together, it was like we were all sisters and never even knew it.
Yeah. So, yeah. I feel that way too.
Yeah. What you did for us, Laurel, is you knew who the people were. You knew. And so it wasn't a lot of work for you to determine who they were. And then, or one person in the group found another person and you found out a common thread. But I really feel like that, what is the old saying, like, and I might be messing this up royally, when you cook beans and you put them in the pot and the bad ones kind of rise to the top and you scoop them off.
Oh, yeah.
So I think you know who your good beans are.
Yeah. I love that. We know the good beans. And if you use eggs, there are people, even if you have a few cracked ones, your friends know you're cracked anyway.
Yes.
Right? Yes. So what can you say? Jenny, I know you sent me something, but I didn't see it. So if I need to do something, let me know. So as we get close to kind of the end, because we don't want to run this too long, because we know it's the end of the day, end of the evening for people. One, I want to thank you guys for showing up. I want to thank you guys for showing up and joining the show. I know it's crazy. And this was this group, again, really formed, this chat and chill group really formed as part of my village, post George Floyd, post Ahmaud Arbery, post all of that kind of stuff, except requests. Oh, yes, Steph, coming on the stage.
Please keep talking.
So, okay. And so, it was a group that was formed because we needed a space to show up without having to explain why we were there. And again, I have amazing women in my village, and the people that are in my tight circle, whoever they are, whatever they look like, I don't have to explain. They know me really well. This just had a different feel to it because of why it was started and what we needed. So, Steph, how do you tell people to chat and chill? Get your
beautiful women on this stage. I'm so happy you're here on Fireside, and I'm not just saying this. Listen, women are going to save the world now, for real.
Yes, I agree.
Because, and by the way, we love our men, but women are going to save the world. And so do you know why also I love everyone here? I already know it. Is we have to show the men how we embrace our different color skins. our different religions, our different understandings. We have to do this because y'all know men just do follow us at the end of the day. They may not say that out loud, but you know it's true. You're like, honey, come this way. They're like, okay. It's just the truth. No, y'all know it's true. Kathy's covering her face because she knows. She's like, yep, it's true. So my pledge to all of you here, Laurel, I'm grateful and blessed that you are creating here. I hope all of these amazing women do too. But I want us to all pull together and let's start having hard conversations. Let's demonstrate that we have women that may say, I don't understand why Ahmaud Arbery was hard for you. I don't understand what it felt like to you when George Floyd was killed. I don't understand. And I want to understand. And we need to, in my opinion, be in a position now. You know, I was raised around so many strong Black women that it is an interesting position for me because I have run alongside my Black brothers and sisters throughout my entire life. And so I have a different understanding. I am not Black, but I've been around so many amazing people. And I think we need to demonstrate that the only way we're going to get past this dark time, we have to show people it is okay to say, I don't understand, and lean in, and also help people understand it is not your job to teach history in this country. It is our job as white women to use our white privilege to bring people along and say, they've been trying to explain this forever and they are tired. And so if a Black woman says she's tired, white women have no understanding of what tired is. There's no understanding. I know you're tired. I know you're tired. And so my job as a white woman in the world with you is to be that strength and run with you because y'all are tired. And so I just want to send you love and light and feeling so grateful that you are here. And I appreciate you allowing me to speak this evening. You're a blessing. I'm just thrilled you're here. And I'm going to mute myself because I'm going to keep talking. Much love.
Well, I am so thrilled that you came on.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. Leela, I saw you come up too.
No, I think I echo that. I'm also a white woman, and it's just so important that we focus on the definition of equity being equality of outcomes. That we all start from different places. And so having opportunity and quality of outcomes, and I do believe women are going to save the world. I will second that. But we've got to put ourselves out there. And when we're on the front lines, we can get shot down. And we can get shot down by men, by other women, but also about the forces of having to conform and to not speak our truth and not to join hands, because the people, the elites, whoever they are, they benefit when we're divided. People have to understand that there is a small group of people that control power, that control the financial levers, that control industry. And yes, right now there are predominantly heterosexual white men. And it's not, I'm married to one and I'm not bashing him because there are allies too, but white women can be allies, and we need to join together to change the system systemically so they are fair and more equitable for everybody.
And that's, I think, and y'all, Leela, and you guys know Leela. Kathy, I don't think you've met Leela, but, and Lanier, you may not have. So you guys will meet Leela. She's incredible. We went to grad school together, and she is my, ride or die, VP of the NAACP in Springfield. That's Leela. And I think what both Stephanie and Leela said that is really critical, and what I love about the women that are in this chat and chill, and all the women in my village that you're meeting this month, is that there's this idea that there is a respect of understanding what real fatigue is, right? That when you're tired, you really mean tired. You don't mean just frustrated. You mean tired. And there's also an understanding that nobody that you have met or that you will meet, that someone in my village is giving up the fight. Ever. We just don't do that. We just don't do that. We may take a pause. We may take a break. We may go chat and chill or sit with our village or our sister circle or my Fierce Five, right? Or my Friends for Life. We go find those people that we need and we take a pause because it's time to go back to work. And so when we have the ability to have these strong villages around us, it enables us to keep doing the work. Because if we don't, who is going to, right? If not now, when? If not you, who? And so that's what I love about all of these women that are in my village. And I encourage you, go download the podcast too. Every week, every Wednesday, you'll get a podcast of my women in my village. You can go to laurelrutledge.com/podcast. And you'll get to see their incredible bios. You'll get to see their full bios and listen to our pre-recorded one. But I wanted to do this on purpose so you got to meet them and hear them live and in person talk about these issues. And these are the kind of things that we talk about. We do laugh a lot, and we eat and we drink and we have those kind of things. But the women in my village, the women that are really close to me, we have deep, meaningful, tough conversations. That's what the relationship is about. It's not just about, the fluffy stuff. That's real great. And that to me is the corporate relationship, right? We're going to only go so far. These women in my village, this is deep. This is deep. And so I encourage all of you who are watching the show, who are going to continue to watch the show, because I know you will, because I love being here, and I hope you will continue to show up, because I will. And or listen to the podcast and listen to the radio show. If you're following me anywhere, one, I appreciate it. And I'm truly blessed that you are choosing to spend time with me. But two, and just as important, if not more so, even if you don't, if you take anything from this conversation, go find real women in your village, women that you can say what's on your heart to, women who allow you to have a space of no judgment and compassion, but also tough love and telling you the truth and holding up that mirror. Because there's been more than one time that both Kathy and Veronique and Lanier have said, okay, I hear you, but. And because I know them and I know how much they love me and how much I love them, while I may not like it all the time, that stuff you have to sit down and listen to. You have to sit down and listen to, because these are people who have your best interest in mind. The same with Leela. You met her. You met Suzanne. You met my village last week. Please go find your village. I cannot stress how important it is to have a real village.
People that make you stand on your tippy toes.
Yes. People who make you stand on your tippy toes. You want to be reaching higher. You want to be reaching higher. Well, it is 8:00. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. We said we do like 45 minutes to an hour. I don't see any more questions down in the audience, though. Any comments, questions? Anybody else who wants to come up real quick? I don't see anybody right now. So what I will do is say thank you. Thank you to my ladies, to my sister circle. Again, and to the ones who could not be here, they were with us in spirit. They were doing their thing, making changes in the world, and we love that. Stephanie, thank you for coming, and thank you for your amazing comments. Leela, I saw Jan. For those of you I don't know who were here, I see John, I saw Amy, I saw Woody. Thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And join me next week. Now, next week is a special time. It's going to be 5 p.m. next week. It's going to be my corporate posse. You'll actually see Lanier again. Corporate posse next week, 5 p.m. Central Time in the U.S. So I will see you next week. Thank you so much. Take care, and we'll see you then. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate it.